You've probably seen the headlines about China's military getting bigger and stronger. But what if the real story isn't just about more ships or more planes? What if it's about a completely new way of thinking about war itself? Today, we're diving deep into a new doctrine that aims to change the very rules of conflict.
So think about this for a second. How do you beat an enemy, not by blowing up their tanks and jets, but by completely paralyzing their ability to make a decision? That's the core idea we're going to unpack. It is a radical and kind of scary shift in the philosophy of war.
All right, let's get into it. To really get what's happening with China's modern military, you have to understand this massive shift in their thinking. It's like they didn't just update the playbook, they tore it up and wrote a brand new one. Okay, so this really breaks it down for us. The old way of thinking, what they called informatized warfare, that was all about controlling the network, the flow of information. But the new way, intelligentized warfare, is way, way more ambitious. It's about dominating the mind itself. It's about getting inside your opponent's decision-making loop and just breaking it.
So here's the bottom line. The goal is to win through paralysis, not just destruction. It's kind of like a super high-tech version of Sun Tzu's ancient wisdom. Subdue the enemy without even fighting. Imagine you could hack an enemy's central nervous system, so the brain just can't send signals to the body anymore. That's what this is, using AI to achieve what they call cognitive overmatch.
But a plan this big, wow, it's going to need some serious cash. So let's follow the money, because the numbers that are powering this whole thing are pretty staggering. And look, this isn't something they just dreamed up yesterday. This is a super deliberate, decades-long strategy with crystal-clear deadlines. That 2027 goal is especially important. They're trying to do something really unique, a leapfrog strategy, basically trying to master old-school industrial warfare, network warfare, and this new AI warfare all at the same time to get a jump on everyone else.
And you can see right here, they are putting their money where their mouth is. The investment is huge, and it keeps growing year after year. It's a clear signal that this military buildup is a top national priority, even if the rest of their economy is slowing down.
And just look at that number for 2026, 1.91 trillion yuan. That's about 277 billion US dollars. Let that sink in for a minute. That is a massive, unwavering bet on making this huge technological and doctrinal leap happen.
All right, so that's the big idea and the big money behind it. But what does this system of systems actually look like when the rubber meets the road? On the sea, in the air, and even up in space.
So first up, the Navy. Just by sheer numbers, the People's Liberation Army Navy is now the biggest in the world, over 370 ships and counting. But the real story, the real power, isn't just the number of ships, it's the web of weapon systems they're all connected to.
Now this is where things get really wild. These weapons create what experts call a massive keep-out zone, an access denial bubble. With hypersonic missiles and these incredibly long-range ballistic missiles, they can threaten ships from thousands of kilometers away. This isn't just a new weapon, it's a whole new reality that forces any potential opponent to rethink their entire naval strategy.
And it's not just at sea. In the air, China is closing the technology gap, and they're doing it fast. We're talking about their top-of-the-line stealth fighter, the J-20 Mighty Dragon. They're cranking these things out at an incredible rate, with more than 300 already in service.
And this right here, this is a huge deal. For years, the big knock on China's jets was what they themselves called heart disease. They had to rely on foreign engines. Well, not anymore. This new, powerful engine gives the J-20 supercruise. That means it can fly faster than sound without chugging fuel in an afterburner, which is a massive game changer for its speed, range, and combat endurance.
Okay, and this is really key to understanding the whole picture. This reorganization in 2024 tells you everything you need to know. They don't see space and cyberspace as just support roles anymore. Nope. For them, these are central battlegrounds, absolutely essential for what they call system destruction warfare, the idea of attacking every single part of an enemy's network, from satellites to command centers, to cause that total cognitive paralysis we talked about.
Okay, so we've seen all this incredible futuristic hardware, but it leads to a really important question. Is this whole high-tech military maybe a hollow shell?
All right, let's dig into that idea, because for all the shiny tech and the revolutionary new doctrine, there are some pretty big cracks showing up just under the surface.
You're really looking at three major potential problems here. First, these massive purges of top leaders have left big gaps and created a ton of instability. Second, the military has what's called a peace disease, meaning they have absolutely no real combat experience since way back in 1979. And third, they have a super rigid, centralized command structure that could be way too slow to react in the kind of high-speed, AI-driven war they're planning for. And this really hits the nail on the head. All the theory in the world, all the best gear, none of it has actually been proven in the chaos and pressure of a real high-stakes fight. Okay, so let's wrap this all up. Let's try to balance these two sides of the coin. The incredible strengths on one side and these very real, maybe even critical risks on the other.
So on one hand, their strengths are absolutely formidable. You've got this insane industrial power that can just outproduce anybody, a truly revolutionary way of thinking about war, a clear lead in key technologies like hypersonics, and it's all driven by this single, focused, long-term plan.
But, and this is a big but, all that power could be seriously undermined by what's going on inside. You've got shaky leadership from those purges, zero modern combat experience to draw on, and a command philosophy that might just be too slow and clunky for the very kind of war it's designed to fight.
So what's the big takeaway from all of this? The era of the intelligentized dragon is here. China has fundamentally changed the global military landscape by building a war machine designed not just to outfight its enemies, but to outthink them, to paralyze them before the fighting even really begins. And that leaves us with one final, huge question. In this new age of AI warfare, where everything happens at machine speed, does the messy, unpredictable, human experience of combat still matter the most? The answer to that question? Well, it's probably going to define global security for all of us.